So for this one, since we've seen all the nice stuff, we're also going to write the behavior for parry. Now I thought a little bit, or well, a lot, how we can handle parry. And parry is kind of a beast of its own. All it's kind of needs a little bit things or behaviors for its own self, just to be sure that it actually works as expected. We're going to rework or basically use the same logic with the attack animations. For example, we're still going to use animator events to open and close parry, and we're still going to also use damage colliders or trigger colliders, but instead of having them on the weapon, which is close to impossible to do a parry and make it sure that your attack animations are just on the perfect condition. Okay, that's just not going to happen. So what we're going to do is say we're going to create a new empty game object, just sitting in there on 000, or else Unity will do the same. So I'm just going to say this as colliders, and I'm going to create a new game object again, drop it in here, zero everything, and then add a box collider, and this is going to be my parry collider. Even if we use this parry collider, we're still going to have a bit more logic in this, and we're going to be checking the angles we're hitting, okay, just to be on the safe side, or well, just to mess with your players a little bit more. Anyway, something like this should work. It's not it doesn't have to be perfect, it doesn't have to be anything special, and that is because parry, as I said, we'll be opening them, closing them entirely tailored over the animations. Okay, so there's that. Now, game object, let's call this parry collider. And let's change this. We also need this to be triggered and also damage collider, so it doesn't give us problems. Let's go to the scripts, and we want our inventory manager, or better yet, let's see, since we are opening and closing the damage colliders through this script, it's probably best if we also do the same for the damage, for the parry collider. So I'm just going to call this, let's go with game object, let's close entirely the whole game object, it shouldn't matter. Game object, parry collider. Let's create the stuff we need. Public void close parry collider, and we're going to say parry collider. I actually want to make this a small one. And write it like this. Parry collider set active false. I'm not doing any checks for null because you always want to have a parry collider, and it's always going to be there. You can always trust on parry, I guess. Okay, and on start we're going to do, or well, on init to be more precise, close parry collider. Okay, now on our animator hook, the same deal. We have open damage colliders, close damage colliders. Public void open parry collider, and public void close parry collider. So if states is null, okay, return. Otherwise states inventory manager close parry collider, and otherwise if states we want open parry collider. open Parry collider if states dot equals null, return. We're going to also do parry on the enemies. Okay, so we're just going to do the same thing we did in here, but for now let's focus on the player at least. Inventory manager, close, Parry collider. Of course, to work all this we need to also have behavior on the collider itself. Let's, at least for now, drag and drop the reference. Let's find weapon, Parry collider. Let's drop the Parry collider in here, and we want to do, let's write a new script. Let's go on the items. We have our damage collider, and now we're going to write this as Parry collider. Namespace, say, close all this, and we don't actually want any of this. So void on trigger render, collider other, and that can be, this can be either a damage collider of the enemy. Okay, we don't really care. If it's a collider, we're going to check if he's an enemy. And we're going to start with enemy stats, stats. We also want to be able to do this on other enemies or other human enemies. But yeah, as I said, enemy states will be the same for the other enemies as well. So we are cool with that. Enemy states. Now that I think of it, I forgot to make a counter parry enemies, or you know, I've made the one that you're stabbing him, but I haven't made one that you are actually making him attack or whatever. Anyway, other transform dot get component in parent enemy states. If enemy states is null, do a return. Otherwise, and here's the trick, we're going to go on the enemy states, go to definition, we have health is visible, can move, all stuff like that. And what I'm going to say is public bool can be whatever is the past, I think parried. The past, not the past. Anyway, you know, this England thing. Okay, so if E can be parried is false, return. You cannot do him, you cannot do anything. But if he is parried, if he can be parried, actually I want on the enemy stats, let's initialize this as true. Parry collider, and let's add a few more stuff, or is invisible, return, and over here we can say, let's hard code it for now, play, let's think, let's call, oh no, I think it's attack interrupted. We're going to have to check with the, yeah, attack interrupted. But we also need to basically do everything we're doing when we are attacking. So on the state manager, not the state manager, the enemy stage, when you are, yeah, actually let's handle it in here, there's no need to, let's handle it like this. So I'm going to say public void check for parry. Let's also put a target transform from or whatever. Let's go with target anyway. And here's what we're going to say is can be parried is false. Or is invisible, return. Otherwise is invisible, turn this to true. Plate damage, apply root motion, can move, set to false. And we want here attack interrupted or something like that. We're going to fix that. Check for parry. Let's go to parry collider, and instead of doing all of this in here, we're just going to say st dot is check for parry, and we want to pass. We don't want our own transform. Let's pass a root for now, and we'll see if it brings any problems. We can change that always. We can always change that later. And why I wanted to pass the root is because I wanted to also pass, and I want to check if our dot product basically. So for example, I'm going to do a dot. We first need our directions to our direction from I think it should be our own transform position minus target dot position. Let's normalize this, and we probably don't need to. You can go with dot or you can go with angles. I think dot is probably will be enough. Dot, so from target dot forward towards the direction, and if dot is lower than 0, then return. Okay, so if somehow you did the parry and the collider or maybe an enemy attacked you from behind and you were parrying him and he landed inside your collider, but he was behind you. You know, that can happen, especially if you have huge enemies. That means you're not going to parry him. Okay, we're not going to be that kind, and we're just going to make you, all that. Okay, check for parrying. Let's go and fix let's add the animation. I think it should be on attack interrupt. Okay, as you can see, I'm just dropping it in here. Maybe let's drop it under the damages or something. Attack interrupt, and then make it transition back. We can change stuff in here later, you'll see. Attack interrupt, close this, and I want to change also the name in here. I want to use the same name. Hopefully this is the same name. Let's copy paste it just to be safe. It was the same name. Okay, you can get this animation from, check the description from the folder. Roles. And let's think. Yeah, this will work. So what I need to do right now, or let's test it so that you can see what's happening. I'm going to hit play. Let's go to my scenes, select my controller. He's like that. Oh yeah, we forgot to add the parry collider, the script. So let's add this parry collider in here. Let's leave it on that. Let's hit play. Our scenes, you can see my collider is empty. I'm going to enable him, and I'm just going to walk towards the guy. Okay, he gets stunned, and his invisible flag is, of course, resetting because from the can move. But basically this is going to be our window that you can stun him. We need to also fix the animation, I think. It was probably from the element, so yeah, it's not. Maybe we've set this to fit. Yeah, it looks a little bit better. There is also root motion on it. Yeah, it's a little bit better. Let's also enable the foot IK. So now we need to know when we are opening and closing the Parry collider. That's easily. That we can fix that very easy. Window, animation, find the Parry, and let's go from over here, add animation event, open Parry collider, and yeah, probably, as you can see, your chances of parrying somebody, they are kinda null. Well, you know, it wasn't meant to be easy. Close Parry collider. Because of course we are doing some now the flag of can be parried is always open. We can just walk right on him. Let's lock. Okay, and he's going to be parried entirely. Oops. As you can see, I can parry him. Yeah, of course you probably might need to maybe give a little bit more room to your Parry collider. You know, this all correlates to how hard you want the game to be, of course. It's easy, it's simple. So we have our Parry. Let's think right now. And as for the flags, we can go on animator hook, which is over here. Open Parry, open downwards collider. Yeah, to test this now it's going to be a little bit hard because we don't have any AI, but let's do it regardless. So public void open Parry flag and public void close Parry flag. Of course we can also be parried, so that means we also need to add the flag into our own character. States is blocking. Let's do public bull can be parried. And now on our animator hook, if states dot can be parried, true. If E states, come on, E states can be parried, true. False and false. Okay, so as you can imagine, we're going to go into each attack animation. Hopefully you don't have that many, and I'm going to say that it's a good idea, before you keep adding animations and keep adding animations, wait till we actually finish with the whole thing, because we're going to be doing this a lot. Okay, adding flags into our animations. So we need to have a general idea of all this. So we can say, let's go. Do you want to go? Well, you know, this correlates entirely on how you want your player to behave, or how much chances you want to give them. And as you can see, you could I don't want to use the same events as the downwards colliders, because a giant, you might not want him to ever be parried, so we need to keep that separately. Of course we could just do this as a state manager or stuff like that. So yeah, let's go with that. But as I said, you can get rid of, you know, having to add events if you want to avoid or you know, if you want to entirely close a parry like this. But this will just basically say exactly what animations can be parried, which is, I believe, it's something better to do it like this. Or on second thought, maybe we can use the same ones. The same. I think it makes sense. Like, that's really where I was going to add the parry timer or the parry thing or whatever around these 2 frames. So let's see, instead of using the animator hook, we're going to get the damage colliders. Whenever we are opening a damage collider, we're also going to be opening a parry flag. And no, I don't necessarily care for this. Let's see. Or yeah, let's go with it. Whatever. Open damage collider. Open parry flag. Close damage collider. Close parry flag. And we're going to be passing the... Yeah, I guess we can pass the... When we are hitting somebody on our damage colliders, we can pass the actual action slot, so that judges if you can parry or not. Let me think of this. We need to actually think it. I'm now thinking in terms of scalability and how much tedious it's going to be if you have to go into all your animations and put events on each one. Okay, of course, if you have 20 events on each one, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be a nightmare. So the easier we can make this to be, the better. And obviously that means we need to keep thinking. We need to kind of think a little bit more the whole behavior. And let's see. We have parry action. Yeah, we don't want this. Attack action. So let's go on the actions on this, and let's add public bool can be parried. Okay. And when we are actually attacking, when we are playing an animation, we're going to say, yeah, I think it's yeah. This can actually work, I believe. Or we can say, yeah, can be parried. We're going to have 2 flags, state manager. One can be parried, and public bool. Let's go with parry is on, because I cannot think any other clearer name, at least. And instead of changing the can be parried, we're going to be changing on the flags is on parry is on, and we also need to change to do the same on the enemy states. So let's change this as well. Change this, can be parried, and public bool parry is on. Animator hook again, parry is on and parry is false. So when we're playing now an action, or well, you know, we only have to worry about an attack action, I guess, since nothing else can be parried in our state manager. Let's go over here, attack action. We have our slot, so that means can be parried will be whatever we have inside our slot. Okay, can be parried. So we also need to pass when we are changing slots. We also need to update that as well. That will be can be parried, WRB can be parried. RT can be parried will be WRT can be parried. Same for the left and right hand. LB dot can be parried will be WLB can be parried. LT can be parried will be WLT can be parried. Okay, so all the actions are basically what's controlling if an attack can be parried or not. So that means every item will say that this attack can be parried. This attack cannot be parried because of XYZ reason, which gives us a lot more flexibility, which I think this is the best way to do this. So I can go and say on my right hand weapon, of course this is going to be an item later, so we're not going to be just changing it on right hand weapon, left hand weapon, we're just going to be creating items then. But we need to have an overall view of what the items are going to need and how we're working with them, and then go and create an inventory manager. An inventory. And you probably, there's millions of inventory tutorials out there, I'm pretty sure about that, but I think the most common flaw is that they don't tell you how you're using the items. Okay, making a database is nothing really, it's just a list, but you need to see what we are doing with the items, how we are using them. I think that's more important, and that's why I'm doing this first. Anyway, okay, actions, first attack, can be parried. You can automate all of this and start all of them with can be parried. And actually, that's not even a bad idea. Let's do that. Action can be parried will be true. So any new entry we have is going to be to turn as flag to true. Let's close this. And now I'm going to split my scene in here. I'm going to keep selecting my controller. Let's hit play. And when I parry, you can see the parry collider is on. Okay, pretty cool. So that means if on my enemy in here, I can have. He still has parries on and can be parried. So that means if I go close to him, okay, his flags always stay open, of course. So he will still play and something. The stream looks okay. I don't know why that was. Okay, but anyway, we can parry him. Of course, it's always open. So let's rework a little bit the enemy states, and let's create a timer. Don't write this. This is just for, or write it, but we're not keeping it. Let's do. We're going to call this public. I don't know why I'm writing public, I don't care. Do action, and for the do action we're going to say action A, and probably there's no need to do new action. Anyway, we're going to hard code it. String target animation. I don't know why I'm writing target animation. Let's just do anim.play OH attack 1, Okay, and let's see. I think we also need to do no, we don't really care about is visible. We need to also apply root motion and can move to be false. Okay, real simple. All this. So on update, if it's invisible, yeah. If you can move, apply root motion is false. So that means if you can move, you're not inside already. You're not already inside. You're not already attacking, or you're not getting attacked, something like that. So in here, we're going to add to our timer. This doesn't matter. It's just for debugging. If timer is greater than 3, or maybe let's go with 2. Do action, timer will be 0. Actually 2 is too small, or let's go with 3 anyway. And timer is 0. Okay, so basically every 3 seconds he's going to play this attack animation. And I want to disable the giant because he's kind of a weird situation. Or actually, yeah, it's not going to be a problem. Let's keep him in the background. But oh yeah, let's also reset this. We can set the parry zone, or the can be parried to true. That it won't really matter. And we can also set. We want to reset the parry zone. We're going to reset it on start. Okay, yeah, that doesn't work actually. For some reason parry is not on, is not opening. So let's debug it and see why that doesn't happen. And yeah, I know why it doesn't happen, because on animator hook we're only running them. We have the parry flags if there is a state. There's never a state, so we're going to change this, and we're going to say if states close all damage colliders, close parry flag, and close this, delete this, in here delete this as well, put it like this. Okay, the open parry flag and close parry flag already checks if you have enemy states or not. Okay, so there's no need to rewrite it. So leaving it like this, if we hit play, every time he's attacking, you can see that it opens for a little while. So that means now we are at the final. Ha! First time. Yeah, I'm that good. Well, of course, there is a lot of fallback. Or there is the timer is, you can tell right away that he's attacking. But anyway, it still was fun to do it at the first time. Of course, even if he was attacking me, he wouldn't really do any damage. He doesn't have any damage colliders, but it was still fun. Like, it's the player illusion. Anyway, so yeah, that is for parry. So that means when we are actually parrying, we can check on our state manager. Let's do it on the state manager, since it basically disrupts everything afterwards. We can say let's think. Let's add it on the other. And let's add public transform, and let's call this as parry target, or better yet, let's add the enemy states as a parry target. Enemy states. So now we know we need to have something that tells us that you have a parry target. So we're going to add it in here, but that will mean that we also need to do an init for this guy. Let's add a pointer to our states, and we also need to be passing it from here. States will be st, check for parry, and we can turn this as a boolean, public bool, check for parry. So this can be return false, and if it is correct, then return to true. Okay, so when we are checking for parry on the parry collider, we can say bool will, or let's just go with parry. This will return as a bool, and if parry states dot parry target will be the enemy states we are in. This won't work though for enemies, like we cannot use the script reuse, or at least the way it is right now, we cannot use it, or well, as it is. So I'm going to call this init player, and I'm going to have an enemy state, states, and I'm going to have this public void init enemy, just for reusing sake, encapsulation state, and enemy states, I would go with states will be st. And we're going to be checking for enemy states first. If enemy states it's not null, and if you actually have, we're going to be checking if states, check for, or no, if states is this, then check for all of this. But if it's an enemy, check for player. Okay, there's no point to doing this right now. So this will assign us a parry target. But what we should also assign is check for parry. We should be passing state manager states. We should be passing our states also, so the enemy will know when to nullify himself on our own state manager. So over here we can say state manager states are actually, if we pass the states, we don't need to have this as a boolean and return true, because we can just update it directly from, oh well, what the hell, let's go with it. Let's close this, check for parry, pass also the state manager, and we'll handle everything from there. Okay, so we have less code. Check for parry, return, and before you return, states parry target will be this. So if we need to know we're going to add a new flag, we can go with public bool is stand, I believe. No, is stand, you cannot, I don't think you can parry or parry attack somebody that is stand. So let's add one more boolean, one more integer. or one more bit in this case. Public bool is, let's go, we already have can be parried, parried is on. Let's go with do parry, whatever. No, we want this to be start as false, so this will be do parry will be true. Okay, and in here on the update you're going to say that if parry target, oh no, where do I assign this? We need to assign our state manager in this guy also. So over here we can say public, there's no need to be public, state manager parried by and in update we're going to say if parried by is not equals null, if on parry, if parry is on is false. Let's add this in one statement. Oops. Parry is on, then parried by, parry target will be null, and yeah, parried by will be null, and parry is on is already false. So parry is on can be if you can move, parry is on will also be false. I don't want to reuse can move because you know this can be open and false for other reasons as well, so it's better to just keep it separate. And we also need to assign parried by, parry target, and parried by will be these states. Here's the thing here, and I don't actually know how it works in Dark Souls. For example, if you parry somebody, to do the parry attack, you know, the counterattack, is it just the bumper or it's also an attack animation from there? I think it's probably going to be an attack. So, or at least that's the way we're going to handle it. So on our state manager, let's clean this up a little bit. On our state manager we are detecting an action. Okay, if it's an attack, whatever attack it is, if you want to be more precise, you know, you can do it, but I think it's just we're dragging it a little bit if we do it that way. Any attack. Okay, so if you're not blocking or whatever, we're going to be checking first if there is let's turn this as a boolean. We'll check for parry. Let's do return true or whatever. Attack action. Before you run the actual slot, you're going to say check for bool. I think there's no need to do. If check for parry is true, return. Okay, because it's going to override all of this. So in here we're going to say if parry target is null, return false. If it's not, return false. If it's not, let's do a distance check, because you can never know. Or well, not a distance check, let's do a dot check. So we need our direction, vector 3 dir will be parry target dot position dot transform dot position minus our own transform dot position dir dot normalize float dot from vector 3 dot transform dot forward dir, and if dot is greater than 0, actually this is might not be that much ideal. Maybe an angle is better than a dot, to be honest. So we know that at least, because the dot, even if you are far away from him, it's still going to do it. And we should also, now that I think of it, we should also do a distance check, because you might stun somebody back and he might fall from a ledge. So that will complicate a lot of things. So let's write an angle in here. We want the angle, and if the angle is lower than, well, let's go with 60, then going to return true, otherwise return false. Let's also first do the distance. Float distance will be vector3 dot distance parry target the transform dot position from our own transform dot position, and if distance is greater than, let's go with 3, return false. Okay, otherwise we are returning. So angle, that means, and yeah, I guess you can do a mirror also. You can mirror the parry. I don't see why not. Action slot, slot, and in here let's take all of this, and I don't remember, I think it was parry attack. So let's go with that. Now there's there's one more thing we need to change. We also need to fix the positioning of our player. So for right now, we're just going to make him jump to that position, and wherever he is, it shouldn't really matter. So parry target, let me think. We also need to change, to make sure that the parry target is not actually moving, it's not doing something. So to get our position, we have already the direction towards the player. Now we need an offset from this towards our player. So yeah, let's fix this, or let's just write it in whatever way. Before we do all of this, we're going to get a target position, and that target position is going to be our opposite direction plus the parry target transfer position. So from the position of the enemy we're parrying plus the direction multiplied by an offset, which the offset we don't know which one it is, so we might going to have to guess. I'm just going to say public float parry offset, and I think let's go with 0.5, 0.4. It might be too much. We can change that from the inspector anyways, so it doesn't matter. So the direction multiplied by the offset we have plus the parry on target position. So our transform dot position will be the target position, and we also want the enemy to look at us, look at me. I'm the parry now. Parry target, and yeah, we already have the direction. We just need to check for if it's 0. So if direction, or if the opposite of that, or I think, yeah, this might not be. We're going to add it just in case. If the direction is 0, it's probably never going to be 0 unless they are both on the same position, I believe. Okay, and then let's do. Yeah, dir will be parry target dot transform dot forward. Yeah, we can, well, okay, the correct way to write this will be the opposite of the direction, but since we're checking for if it's, you know, equals to 0, adding the opposite or not won't make any difference. Okay, so we have our parry target transform forward, which, if we're going to use the opposite, if we're going to reuse the same code, we need to actually make this the opposite of your forward. But if this confuses you, just delete it. You're never going to need it. I'm just going to add it for, you know, safe, just to be safe, but I don't believe that you will actually need it. And now we need to create a direction. We actually need to create a direction for both of our guys. So we're going to say rotation, enemy rotation will be quaternion dot look rotation, will be the opposite of the direction we have created for him, and quaternion our rotation will be quaternion dot look rotation, the direction we already have. And since we want our directions, we also need to reset the Y, otherwise we might be looking at the stars while parrying. Okay, we have our rotation, so we now need to apply the parry target transform dot rotation rotation transform dot rotation equals our rotation. Okay, so this will basically make him look towards us. We are looking at him and we are doing the parry attack animation. Now, yeah, so the only thing we need to also change is on the parry target. Let's do this. We don't have the animation right now, so I don't know what we're going to add. And so I'm going to do public void is getting parried, or, you know, something like that. And we basically don't want him to do anything. Oops. Well, yeah, I've accidentally added on the state manager, but we're still going to need this on the state manager. But we also need to add it on the enemy states. So we're going to do public void is getting parried. We don't need to change anything in here, we're already doing it. So all we're going to say, maybe we can add a flag that is going to ignore all of this. Yeah, I think that will be the way to do it, to do this. So let's go and do public bool. Don't do anything. At least it's a descriptive name. And if don't do anything, return. Okay. Basically you can say if don't do anything is the opposite of can move in here. Okay, so that will make him play the ragdoll animation at least on the next frame. So is getting parried. Play the animation. I don't have an animation though, so I don't know what we're going to browse through the animation and see what we're going to see. Don't do anything, true. Oops. True. And let's think We need the can move to false as well. Okay, we need these two. And we now need to go and fix the animation, but before we do that, is getting parried on the state manager on check for parry. Let's think. Parry target is getting parried. Okay, is getting parried, and then let's think. Actually, yeah, I thought of something that is going to be or an issue, or it's going to make it a little bit easier. But yeah, it shouldn't really matter. But yeah, the way I think of it right now, it's kind of off topic, but we could just remove all the three booleans we've added for parry with just one tick. Anyway, we'll see it in the end. Anyway, so okay, this will make him getting parried. We can also say, since you're on parry, you can also pass how much damage you are doing on when you're actually parrying. But since we're not yet adding any, we don't have items or true items yet. There's no damage and stuff like that. So at least for now, let's do a health minus equals 500 for whatever reason. Okay, let's close this. Let's go look on the animations. I don't think I have any that will actually work. We need to make a counter animation. Let's just have one. Oh, I also have one new animation here. We can also add that. Let's say investors item. This is the parry, use item. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to use. So let's just use one attack, or not attack animation. We want the one damage animation, at least. Maybe this isn't. Let's just use this one because, yeah, as I said, I don't have any animation, and everything we're going to add is going to be, it's not going to look that good in any case. We're going to make it to override back. Okay, but in the yeah, you can make it over here, but there is going to be a check if he's dead, or where we are doing the check. If he's dead, and the empty basically means he's going to go into a ragdoll in the future. And I'm going to call this parry received or something like that. And we also need to add on our attacks the actual parry attack. Let's add it in here. Oh yeah, let's make it a little bit cleaner. Parry attack, make transition, and parry received. Okay, so we have our attacks in here and here. Oops. We have our damages. We have our attack in the wrap, and this can be over here also. So let's fix the parry received. Let's add it into our code as well, and let's try it. Play parry received. Hopefully this will work. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll see. The animations, you can find them in the description again. Let's try. Oops, I think something is wrong actually. And let's see what is wrong, because I'm doing a parry with my for some reason I'm doing a parry with my right hand, so that means we forgot something hasn't changed. I think it's the mirroring. Yeah, it's the mirror for some reason. turned to true. Let's go over our code again. For our action manager, let's find our mirror. LB and LT is mirrored. Left hand mirror, maybe we change this one in here. Now this will be correct. Let's close this. Can be parried. LB block is mirrored. RT is mirrored. LT is mirrored. And why it doesn't work? Maybe it's the attack actually. This is the parry attack, interactions, parry. Well, this is the correct one, but then why? Oh, for whatever reason we lost the parameter. Parry attack, you can also set the parry attack in here, but yeah, let's not though, because we don't have right now a flag that will turn the mirror on when you're parrying. So be careful of this. For whatever reason Unity decided to get rid of this. Your guess is as good as mine. Okay, now the parry works. Let's lock on. Oops, that didn't work. And I don't know why. Maybe it's a problem with us, with our. It's probably not that I'm missing it. It's probably something else. For all we know, we might have. Let's see on our scenes what's happening. And the damage collider is not opening actually. Oh, yeah. We forgot to initialize the damage on our inventor manager. We forgot to initialize the parry collider. So before we actually close the damage collider or the parry collider, we need to do I think it's parry collider, PR, parry collider, get component, parry collider. We're probably not going to need this to store it, so let's just go with just init player and pass the state manager. Okay. So now this should be correct. Probably. Okay, it opens. Let's put it back and let's try it now. Yeah, that our parry didn't work. Let's try and see if let's debug our behavior. It might be the case that we are too slow to get out of the parry. So this never runs, or the state manager. Okay, so this never runs. So let's put parry target. Let's do a debug log for here, and let's see if we ever come in here. And basically, I want to also on my parry. I want to get out of the parry as fast as possible. So at least. Some reason it doesn't play. Okay, over here I'm going to bring everything back down here. So if there is a parry, I can move. Obviously, you need to have a little bit more room, and maybe close this everything in here. And just to counteract on this, on our attack interrupt, I'm going to make this huge or actually, instead of making all of this huge, we can just change the speed of the animation. So I'm going to change this to 0.5. So that means it's just going to take way too slow to get out of the state. Okay. And now we have parry as well. Let's duplicate this to try it a few times. Of course, we need a proper animation. We don't have one. So I'm going to take the parry received and I'm going to just set the speed to 0.2 just so that we are able to see it and see him go off the, you know, then become a ragdoll. Let's duplicate him and put him, make a few more of his friends, his doomed friends, cursed I might say, hollow boxes. Okay, so let's go parry the... Ha! Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Goodbye. And yeah, I forgot we don't have... I don't know, let's see the frames. Yeah, it's probably the recording that makes it stuttered, because as you can see, we are pretty cool on frames. And of course, when I have some more time, I'm going to make at least a basic parry animation. Okay, cool stuff. Let's see if the checks we've added actually work. Okay, so I'm not doing a parry animation if I'm too far away. I'm not doing a parry animation if I'm going back and attacking. So everything is fine. Everything is cool. Everything is awesome. So, yeah, I think we are moving towards, you know, we are making huge leaps of progress on each video, which is pretty cool. One thing I wanted to check though is that I think it's a little bit too forgiving, or it gives them a lot of time to parry. Yeah, that was the issue. Like if he attacks and I parry, I can still have it, so that means something isn't closing. I'm going to delete the other guys because, or maybe keep one at least, because we have a bit of stuttering from the recording and it's not nice. And I want to check, we might have forgotten to actually do is parry, but not check for parry. We want do parry or parry zone, one of these shouldn't be working, or do parry, what this is, do parry. Yeah, this will make you parry. Where are we using this? We're not using this anywhere. So we don't need this. Let's delete it. And the other thing I've actually thought is that on your damage collider or your parry collider, you can, instead of just checking for a collider, you can do if other dot or maybe get damage collider dc other dot get component damage collider. So this will only look for damage colliders. That means if you are attacking or if you're not attacking, you have your damage collider closed, so that the game object. So that means, yeah, you cannot parry him. If it's null, then do a return. So this will also fix the issue I had right now, but I still want to see why this was happening. And yeah, as you can see, it's a little bit way too hard to get it. Yeah, it's next to impossible, I believe. So maybe it's not the best idea. But you know, if you want to do it like that, it's going to be very unforgiving though. Let's close this. Let's see if what it does now. Okay, it plays. So the problem again is that they never parry is on. We're not using parry. I think we are only using can be parried. Probably that's why we have the issue. Let's check our enemy states. Parry is on. We're turning the true and false. False. Parried by is null and parry is on is false. Nullify everything. So we need somewhere to close the parry zone, I guess. So when we're actually parrying, we should do. Now let's see. Or an enemy, let's wait until he attacks. He closes it. Parry is on. Parry is closed. And what the hell? Then the problem is with our own collider. Okay, let's doing parry collider. Check for parry. And can be parried is false. Is invisible. And we should also add. Or actually, instead of can be parried, maybe parry is on, is false, and or better yet, let's keep both of them. Can be parried equals false. Okay, so if any of this is false, you're not going inside this state. Let's try it one more time, and it's probably the last thing we'll do for today. Parry is on. Let's try it. So I guess I was previously... Yeah, I still got it. Okay. He's dead. This guy, we cannot parry him only when he attacks. Don't mess with your master. I've created you, I'll kill you. Enough of that. One last thing, so I lied. The same way we are doing mirror, here's one more super cool thing. Add a new float and call this animation speed. If you want to keep this separate, like have different speed on parry and attacks, you can make one more float. But the thing is that you're never going to do both an attack and a parry animation at the same time. So, there's no need for that. So, the same way we are doing the mirror, I'm going to set this to 1 though. I want to initialize it as 1. We're going to add a parameter, and instead of vertical, we want the animation speed. So that means I can control the speed of my parry. I'm going to set this to 1, so it's uniformly. So whatever I'm adding on the animation speed, it's going to also be applied as, as my speed in here. If I press play, the parry speed is the normal speed of the animation. In our weapons now, which is somewhere in here, yeah, I'm getting tired, as you can guess. Action manager, I think. Yeah, on our action, target animation, mirror, can be parried. And actually no, Yeah, we can add it on the actions directly. So, okay, we have target animation, if we want to be mirrored, and if it can be parried or not. So why not add public float anim speed. We'll start it with 1, but we can also, because we don't want to go in each one of the animations and make sure that the speed is true, we're going to also add a boolean. We'll say change or affect, let's go change speed as well, and we're going to start it as false. Okay, and when we are doing the attacks, we should also be passing them in here. Let's do this again, and that's why we need to encapsulate this. I'll say we're going to change this probably in the future. And change speed will be WRB change speed RB dot anim speed will be WRB anim speed. Let's do the same for each one of these. RT, RT, WRT, WRT. Make sure everything is written correctly. Obviously. LB, LB, WLB, WLB. LT, LT, WLT, WLT. We have our animation speed, so on the state manager, on each of the attack animations, we can also do it for the parry action, since it's the same behaviors. We can say is null or empty, can move. Also, you can have multiple than one parry attacks. Okay, there's not just parry attacks, or deflects or whatever. Instead of just hard coding it like I did, check for parry, you can have multiple attacks the same way we've added it with all our other actions. So if you want, to decapitate him or do whatever else, stab him, this can work that way as well. So, okay, attack action. We have a slot. Before we do all this, we can also do an if slot, or actually we don't want to start if slot, we want to say float target speed will start as 1. If slot dot affect speed, do we have it? Type mirror change speed, target speed will be slot dot anim speed. We should also add a check in here to see if target speed is lower than or equals 0. If target speed equals 0, we're doing an equals because you might want to have, for whatever reason, you can have negative animations and just going to play the animations or the animation opposite. You might want to use this or for whatever reason. So we're just going to check if it's hard coded at 0, then assign it back to 1, because at 0 the animation is not going to play, so that means it's never going to do anything, it's never going to play something. And finally we're going to say anim set float anim speed and set this to target speed. Okay, beautifully. We should also copy paste all this into the parry action. Just in here should be fine. Why do we have the can be parried? Yeah, I think, and I think this should be in attack action, not on parry action. This says that your parry animation can be parried, which will have been fun. It will have been major trolling, I guess. Or let's just keep it and see when we add multiplayer how fun it's going to be to parry your parry animation. That will have been a lot of fun. Let's keep it. Okay, so controller. Basically what I did is now my left hand. Okay, I can affect any actions. For blocking it, so it wouldn't really matter. But for my parry, I have animation speed at 1. Okay, so if I change now, this is not going to play because I need to change it from the action manager. But if I change my speed now, and they don't update as I can see, so that means we wrote something wrong, or we didn't save our action manager, something happened. Change speed, oh, they don't update because we forgot to update this one. Okay, change speed is true. I'm doing the parry animation with speed of 1. It's this one. If I change this to 0.5, okay, we now have the speed is 0.5. If I change this to 2, so, you know, the reason behind this is that there's items, like different shields, that give you faster or slower parry animations. So that means you either have a bigger or smaller window to affect your parry. Okay, like this, it like has 2 or 3 frames. Of course, this is way too much, so you'll probably be moving around either 1.3 or 0.8, the slowest. But this has to, you need to think of this, because if it's slower, the animation window or the parry, the collider window to do the parry stays open much more than this one. But that means you also have less control over it. Or we can, another way to do it, instead of using the events, you can actually set a timer or something like that. But anyway, or you can set the parry collider to close on a timer. So he can, let's do that. Instead of adding, we might go close to 2 hours, but I know you're having fun, so I'm going to continue. And there's always a pause button. Okay, open collider, close parry collider, delete the event, and we're going to go into our parry collider. We're going to add an update. Void update. Let's add the timer. Float timer 5, not 5. We want this to be 0. Timer, and we're going to say public float max timer. And I think 0.6, you have to tailor it. Okay, obviously I cannot really guess a number. And then we have our states, but we also have enemy states, so we don't know which one of these to use right now. So we're going to use okay, let's do it the proper way instead of the lazy way. Timer time dot we have the delta in our states dot delta, and if timer is greater than our max timer is 0. Game object set active false. let's do the same for this one. And instead of states, we should be having it on enemy states. Yeah. Okay, so basically whenever the states this script opens, and it opens with an event, you always have the exact same seconds to do the parry. This helps basically with the attacks we did over here, or either they are faster or smaller. So the controller, well, you know, the collider will always stay the same time, even if you are playing the animation faster or slower. Let's also try it over here. This is the normal 0.6, which is way too much. But if we make it so that the animation is way too slow. Oops. And I need to select this guy. Okay, it's still the same time, and if it's super fast, it's still the same time, but you have more control over your character, like you can control your character way faster. So, let's close this, we are cool on frames. So I guess you can see how cool is this, you can guess how much progress we've added in just a few times. Yeah, this was probably off. I'm going to. Okay, so now we also have parry, we have all these cool things we can do, we have items, so we're now free to keep making and keep working on the framework because we are doing crazy progress in such a little amount of time. So, you know what to do. Like, subscribe if you like to see more, if you like for me to keep making more of this, then your support is really much needed and appreciated. The ways you can support me is via Gumroad or via Patreon. On Gumroad you can get the projects, including this one when it's going to be ready. Okay, and via Patreon you can also get additional rewards depending on your pledge, which includes, you know, watching the videos earlier than they go live on all the series, not just one series. And and you have additional rewards like accessing the scripts, getting discount projects from Gumroad and all cool stuff like that, and everything goes back into spending more time into making all this nice and cool stuff, because I can't just stress enough how much time, if only for research and thinking of ways we can, or proper ways we can actually do this. You can see we are working on the ragdolls. All this take a lot of time to develop and make animations, make research, learn that. Just think of that, I had to play the games by themselves just to know everything and make it exactly like it is in the games. So I'll see you next time.